Everyone, Scott here. So before we get into today's video, make sure you jump into the description and go check out all the details for our upcoming advanced conversation hypnosis program. This is a 3-day program. All the details are below. Click on that link. Enrollments are filling very, very fast, guys. This will be our first training for 2023. I look forward to seeing you there. I talk a lot about not prepping before your hypnosis sessions, and I really want to drive this point home because I spend so long talking to people who tell me, Scott, I spend an hour or two preparing for the session. I've got to write the scripts. I've got to do the interview at the start. I've got to prepare everything. I have the audio afterwards. And my conclusion is, and what I tell these people is, what the hell are you preparing for? Let's always go back to basics, regardless of what type of therapy training you have. They all say the same thing, but the application of those things is where it changes. We all know as therapists that our clients' problems exist unconsciously. So when we ask them, what's the problem? What do you want to change? How is that a problem? A lot of these things are going to be conclusions. Sort of foregoes the idea as well of writing things down that your clients say to give them back later as like a suggestion. It's like they tell you what they want and then you give it back as a suggestion. Well, that hits sort of a brick wall as well, because they're telling you their conscious interpretation as to the opposite result of what the symptom is giving you. Hopefully, you're with me so far. So all in all, guys, there is no need to prep. When you understand principles, when you understand how hypnosis works as a principle, how the mind creates conclusions, how we have something called knots inside the mind, how we have thought loops, all of these sorts of things, when you can master the principle, you can sort of let go of all those techniques and strategy and definitely prepping. Our students right now that are mastering ACH do no prep whatsoever. Absolutely none. Not only their price is astronomical and they're building these massive businesses, the transformation with their clients is quick. You've got to think about it like this. Let's say you do have good prices and someone pays you, let's say $1,500 for a transformation. It's not just you working with that client that takes up that $1,500. It's the before prep. It's the right before prep. It's the during prep. It's the therapy. It's the after audio. It's the after homework. It's all those extra things. I know there are therapists right now that, they might be charging $1,500, but they've got to work with that client for 6 or 7 hours. You've got to take these into account. This becomes part of your cash flow. This becomes part of your economics. So all in all, guys, you always know you're prepping not only for the wrong thing, but it's taking up far too much of your time, is if your client's coming for multiple sessions. If you're having to spend longer doing the prep than what it takes to do the therapy. What are you prepping for? There is no way in the world you as a therapist could know what to do until your client really finds, or you help them find that root cause. And what's crazy is, and a lot of people overlook this part, the very act of a client finding as close as they can to what the real root cause is, and we call this unconscious insight, that is enough to collapse problems. Where most therapists get it in their head is, we've got to find the root cause and I've got to give suggestions. And before that, I've got to relax them. I've got to give them suggestions. I've got to go the deepness and all that sort of stuff. That stuff becomes irrelevant when you understand principles. So I say this to say that your prep time is more than likely not hitting the point. Your prep time is spending more. The prep time you have is probably spending longer than it actually takes to do the therapy, meaning that what you're prepping for is your conscious conclusions about your client's conscious conclusions to what they think the problem is. You see how crazy that gets? The best thing you can do with a therapist, and to speed up results and not only get really big transformation for your clients in a very fast amount of time, is stop the prep. If you can learn how to investigate the problem, we call this the hypnotic interview, and we teach this during our 3-day ACH training. When you can master that, the therapy techniques, the suggestions, the revisualizations, the visualizations, the revivs, all of the other, regressions, all of the other techniques that people say you have to do, the hugging the inner child, all of those sorts of things, all those things we're told we have to do as a therapist, they no longer exist because you've explored the problem. The best thing you can do, and to really nail your craft as a therapist, is learn how to find what that root cause is. Now, again, a lot of us get told, and unfortunately it's still not the truth, this is fictitious, that all problems exist because of this. I hear it a lot, like, all problems exist because a client thinks they're not confident. All problems exist because of money blocks. All problems exist because of anxiety. All problems exist because of childhood trauma. What is this telling you? This is just a guess. There's no way you can conclude that all equals all. It's not the means to an end. So you've got to be very, very careful going into a session believing a lot of these things. So this video is really about getting past that prep. You should not need to be prepping before a session. There is nothing you need to prep. There is nothing you can prep because it's all a guess. And the majority of the information your client gives you, 90 to 95%, is just their guess and their conclusion as well. So what are you prepping for? In order to get faster transformations, learn the principles of hypnosis, get rid of the prep, and master how to find a client's real root cause instead of just spinning around the symptom over and over.